energy forecast for Friday, September 13th. So welcome to Friday the 13th, a very lucky day in the cosmos. Of course, the number 13 has only been demonized in modern day culture because of the power that it carries, the feminine divine energy power. Fridays are ruled over by Venus, the goddess herself, and Venus in her rulership in Libran energy at this present moment. We are definitely in for a very interesting day, really identifying where it is that new wants, needs, desires are coming to the forefront, where it is that, again, new values, new priorities are taking the lead. And with the moon in Capricorn energy, the manifesting energy, although we are very serious and somber and very cautiously approaching the little bit of change, a little bit of transformation that we actually have power and control over at this particular juncture, we are going to have a lot of realizations today on what needs to be built, what we need to bring to life, what we need to create, especially where new foundations and structures, new routines are concerned to take better care of ourselves, where a new balance needs to be kind of struck in our relationship dynamics, and where new, let's call them energies and efforts towards new goals, new visions, new dreams, especially with our financial goals, our career goals are concerned. We have some beautiful energies popping off here today, really going to help us refine what we need to do in the present moment in order to align with the long-term goal, plan, vision, dream, and the not so nice aspects that are taking place here today. Again, just illuminating where it is that we're resisting the changes, where it is that we're feeling tension and conflict with trying to close the door on the old and, of course, open up a new door to the new. So with all of that being said, there are 12 different aspects popping off here today. 10 of them are going to involve the moon. The moon in Capricorn energy going to sextile, beautiful interaction with Saturn, its ruler. Saturn, of course, the Lord of Karma, ruling over roles, responsibilities, systems, structures, foundations, willpower, discipline. He's retrograde in Pisces energy, showing us where it is in our inner realm we really have to cut the crap. We have to be accountable, responsible for the physical realm reality in which we created. Again, the old version of self once had a goal, a vision, a dream that we're currently living in. We're just not attached to it anymore because the new version of self, this leveled up version of self, has a different vision, different goal, different dream. We are in a completion cycle. We need to wrap up the old, especially the old goals, visions, and dreams, the old belief system that actually got us there. We have to do some inner realm restructuring before we're going to be given an opportunity to manifest a new physical realm that not only looks good, but feels good as well. The moon then going to make a positive interaction with Neptune, who is retrograde in his place of power in Pisces energy. This is going to help us kind of get that vision, get that dream very clear in our mind space. We are tapping into our intuition. We are going to gain some, let's call it psychic insight, if you will, just have a daydream or just space out, dazed and confused. Epiphanies, aha moments, really just kind of spark a new imaginative type of situation and scenario. Now, of course, the moon in Capricorn energy, super logical, super practical, very cautious in our approach, but the ability to realize what needs to be done, again, what needs to be cleaned up, what needs to be wrapped up, what needs to bring to a finality point before we start building and creating something new. The Neptune energy, which is our imagination, our creativity, our dream space, once we get downloaded with that vision and inspired and excited to actually pursue it, the moon in Capricorn knows the structure, the system that has to be put into place in order to wrap things up and, again, clear the space, clean the slate to start building towards something new. This is definitely a spiritual, refreshing type of energy. So again, our hopes, our wishes, our dreams, they're not so outlandish because, again, that Capricorn energy really anchoring us into this present moment, into reality, into what is actually achievable, actually possible. The moon is going to get into the boxing ring, though, square off with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, again in her rulership in Libra energy. And basically, the squares are creating tension and conflict to illuminate where it is that we are going through growing pains. And again, Venus in her rulership in Libran energy would prefer everything to be light and fluffy, everything to be rainbows and butterflies. Of course, we want happiness and joy and fairness for everyone in our lives. But here's the thing. There's a lot of depth that comes with the Capricorn energy, the serious tone, the somberness, if you will, the harsh reality check, the cynicism, just not Venus and Libra's vibe. And so the tension point here is that emotionally speaking, we have shit to do. We can't just sit back and think about La La Land where everybody gets along and everything is peachy keen, because everything is not peachy keen at this particular point in time. Not to say that we won't get there, but this is about wrapping things up. This is about tying up the loose ends in order for us to actually be able to move on, to build, to create something new. And especially where Venus is fully immersed in her relationship dynamics right now, we are cautiously trying to reevaluate where it is that we've made mistakes in the past, that we cannot repeat the same patterns again here in the present moment or in the future. And again, there's this anchoring energy of the moon in Capricorn not allowing us to kind of float off into La La Land the way that Venus in Libran energy would prefer to do. Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, ruler of information, communication, how it is that we express ourselves, in his rulership, not only in Virgo energy, but in Virgo season in its entirety, Mercury is going to make a very harsh interaction with that North Node in Aries energy. That North Node is trying to get us on the right path, trying to show us where it is that we have an individual purpose and mission to fulfill, where it is that we need to grow, we need to heal, we need to get our shit together. Well, this is a harsh interaction, which means that we're not thinking that far into the future. The want, need, desire to project ourselves far into the future, of course, is always there, because many of us just want to numb from this present moment and the responsibilities that we have to this present moment. But Mercury, again, in this Virgo energy, we have to identify the problems in order to fix them. We're focused on the smaller details, especially of our inner dialogue, of our inner narrative, of the problematic situations, especially when it comes to planning and strategizing for our plans to move on, for our plans to kind of create something new. We're seeing a huge gap there. And precision is key. Details are key. Improvements are key. Changes are key. Transformations of the mindset are key. And we're just not in the right mood and the right attitude to solve some of the problems that, of course, are very much in our face, especially when we're thinking about where it is that we would like to end up and realizing the gap between where it is that we're at and where it is that we desire to be. The moon in Capricorn going to make a harsh interaction with Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings in Gemini energy. Typically speaking, Capricorn energy, Gemini energy has a hard time getting along anyways, because earth energy and air energy, they're furthest elements away from one another. The moon in Capricorn, of course, wants to be anchored in this present moment, wants to really focus on what we have power and control over here in this present moment. We have a lot to do on our to-do list. We're thinking about our long-term vision, goals, and plans, but again, recognizing what is blocking us from actually pursuing those plans. And this is where Jupiter comes in. Jupiter, when aspected in a good way, usually gives us a sense of optimism, a sense of confidence, really allows us to dream the greatest dream possible, if you will. But because he's in Gemini energies, on the fence, weighing the pros and cons, we go teeter-totter back and forth, if you will. We are trying to expand upon some of the ideas in which we've already been excited and inspired to pursue. However, we are not aspecting Jupiter in a positive way, which means that we're not feeling overly confident, overly optimistic about anything at this particular moment when it comes to growth, when it comes to expansion. Why? Because the moon in Capricorn needs you to be present. You have to be accountable and responsible for the, let's call it, external realm in which you've created right now. There are things that need to be wrapped up. There are doors that need to be closed and in some cases nailed shut completely before we can think too far into the future. This is an element where we're not willing to grow. We're not willing to heal at this particular juncture because we need to keep those wounds wide open so that A, we're very aware on what needs to be healed, fixed, repaired within ourselves, and B, we don't make those same mistakes again. So this is like a harsh wisdom check, if you will, to see where it is that we need to focus on this present moment. We need to focus on the discomfort because, again, that's the only way that humans actually change. The moon is then going to trine, beautiful interaction with the sun. So we have the moon in Capricorn, we have the sun in Virgo, that's earth on earth energies. A trine means that there's a gentle nudge, a growth point in the right direction. Because there is a very large amount of earth energies right now, we are very present. We are very aware of our physical form. We are very aware of our external circumstances. We're aware of what is working. We're aware of what isn't working. And any time that the moon and the sun are coming together in any kind of interaction, there's going to be an aha moment on what we need to do, what we need to pursue, what is changing as far as our wants, needs, and desires go. And because the moon and the sun are coming together in this earth energy, we are very upfront, close, and personal with what is working, what is not, what we need to destroy, what we need to create, what we can improve upon, what we need to totally close the door upon for good. Now, this could also put us in a situation to recognize where it is that we would like to go. Because again, Capricorn energy is our goals, is our ambitions for our future selves. But the sun in Virgo energy needs you to focus on the smaller details. What habits are you currently involved with? What routines do you have? Because it's the smaller details in the run of our day that is either setting us up for success or setting us up for failure. And so emotionally, we may realize where it is that we would like to go from here, but the sun shining a bright light on where it is that we have to do better, be better in this present moment in order to actually align with the possibility of manifesting the goals, the visions, the dreams that, again, are definitely, percolating in the back of our mind space. The moon is then going to make an awkward interaction with Mercury. So again, this is earth on earth action, but it's not a trine, it's an awkward interaction. And now our heart space, the moon, and Mercury, our head space, they're not quite on the same page. They're in the same book. They're maybe even in the same chapter, but they're definitely not on the same page. Again, emotionally speaking, the Capricorn energy wants us to tackle our to-do list in this present moment, to close the door on chapters, to tie up those loose ends. Mercury, on the other hand, in Virgo energy, we're focused on what we have power and control over in the here and now. Even more than that, it's about our inner dialogue, our inner, let's call it narrative. Our mental plane right now is tunnel vision on one particular area of our life that we are deeming that if this was correct, if this was fixed, if this was healed, we'd have no issues. And of course, that's just a lie that we tell ourselves. Mercury in the Virgo energy has us highly critical, super judgmental, especially when it comes to ourselves, especially when it comes to, the to-do list. The moon, emotionally speaking, in Capricorn energy, we do tap into a negative Nancy narrative anyways with the Capricorn energy. It's only going to be more influenced by the cynicism that Mercury in Virgo is actually bringing here. And so again, we're highly judgmental, highly critical, but for good reason. We can't afford to make the same mistakes again. We can't afford to repeat past patterns and behaviors. And the only way for us to make sure that we don't do that is to keep ourselves accountable. And sometimes that means being a bully to yourself. Now, we're not going to sit in that for too long. We are going to open up some wounds, though, because the moon in Capricorn going to get into the boxing ring, fight it off, square off with Chiron, the wounded healer, who is retrograde in Aries energy. So again, you've often hear me say, sometimes we have to be our own worst enemies. Sometimes we have to beat ourselves up and break ourselves down in order for us to kind of shake our head and realize, guess what? We need to do better. We need to be better. The square energy is just highlighting where it is that we're going through growing pains. And realistically speaking, the negative ass narrative that we just found ourselves in has a lot more to do with the old version of self than the new version of self. The new version of self knows better, but sometimes we have to slip back into the old version of self. Again, beat ourselves up, break ourselves down so that the new version of self can step in and put those pieces back together in a much better, much stronger way. So we're definitely not feeling good at this particular juncture, but again, we're not sitting in it for too long because the moon goes ahead, makes a positive interaction with the North Node in Aries energy. So now we're starting to think about the future. We're starting to think about our identity. We're starting to think about the responsibilities that we have to ourselves. Nobody can be harder on us than we can be on ourselves. Nobody can be nicer to us than we are to ourselves. Again, this is about boundaries. We're talking about earth energy here. And when you set the tone, when you set the boundary of how it is that you treat yourself, you're not going to tolerate anyone else treating you less than how you currently treat yourself. So now we're on the rise. We're building ourselves back up. We're now seeing the aspects of self, especially that old version of self, that needs a little bit of work. We have to grow through those particular insecurities. We have to see where it is that those vulnerabilities kind of crept up, where it is that that negative narrative took us, and recognize what we have to work on. Again, that North Node is about growth, about healing. We have to do the work now. We have to be accountable now so that when we find ourselves in a better situation, the past doesn't come back to bite us in our ass, so to speak. And so again, we're thinking about where it is that we want to go. We're thinking about where it is that we're at, and we're thinking about what we could do to be better, to improve our situation and circumstance here and now, so that we can actually align with the goal, the vision, the dream that we're semi-excited about at this particular juncture. Now, Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, he's going to go ahead and make an awkward interaction with Chiron. So first of all, this is going to bring all of those insecurities to the forefront. All of the, let's just call it cluster effery in our head, all of those negative ass narratives to the surface. Why? Well, because you have to identify the problem in order to fix it. We are in Virgo season. That's the whole name of the game here. What I will say is that our mental dialogue not going to be so fun, encouraging, and supportive. Even more than that, communication going to feel a little bit like a Mercury retrograde-ish. Our communication style is not flowing very well. It is not easy to articulate within ourselves what the actual issue is and our solution to actually fix it, heal it, repair it, let alone try to convey particular thoughts, ideas, expressions of self to other people. It is a challenging aspect to understand ourselves fully and to have other people understand us as well. And so again, use a huge amount of caution in your own mental plane and in conversations, if you will, later in the day, because misunderstandings, miscommunications, and not representing yourself accurately, definitely going to be a thing. The moon is going to make a positive interaction with Jupiter, though, which is going to bring the optimism back, is going to bring the confidence back, is going to allow us to lean into one path, one decision, one choice point over the other. Again, that Gemini energy that Jupiter is in is definitely pushing us out of our comfort zone into new foreign territory to expand on certain ideas, certain goals, certain visions, certain dreams that maybe we weren't confident about earlier in the day, but now because we beat ourselves up, broke ourselves down, and then picked ourselves up and dusted ourselves off, we're feeling a little bit more confident, a little bit more optimistic about. This is an opportunity to dream big again, but also not over exaggerate those particular dreams, because again, the moon in Capricorn going to anchor us into logical, practical reality. The last thing that we got going on here today, the moon in Capricorn energy going to trine, beautiful interaction, with Uranus, the great awakener, who is retrograde in Taurus energy. So this, again, earth on earth. There's a lot of earth going on right now. This is why we feel heavy, weighted, stuck, trapped. This is why we have to be aware of what's going on in our physical body, in our physical realm. We have to identify the issues in order to fix them, heal them, resolve them, improve them, do things better. Now, Uranus's retrograde in Taurus energy should be illuminating to us where it is that we're holding on to dead weight, where we're beating a dead horse, where we're so desperately attached to what once was that we don't even have the opportunity to open up to what could be. And so that is a very limiting thing. However, the whole point of Uranus's retrograde is to illuminate where it is that we have fears, doubts, insecurities of what it would actually mean to let this chapter go, to let these people go, to let this possession go, to let this situation go. And in turn, because this is a trine, this is a good vibe, emotionally speaking, we are going to have an aha moment, an epiphany, where suddenly we're acting as the observer. We are able to detach ourselves emotionally enough to see it from bird's eye view. We are able to see where it is that we are too attached, too connected to trying to keep things the same when realistically we've been praying for change. We just haven't been welcoming it in. And so this is going to put us in a totally different mood, a totally different attitude to realize we're in our physical realm. We are exhausting ourselves by trying to keep things stable, trying to keep things the same, when realistically speaking, we've had enough indicators, validation points in our lives at this particular point that everything has to change.